For anybody who did miss the meeting, they can jump on it later and check it out. So introduce myself. I would love it if we could go around the room virtually and introduce everyone. That would be great. Russ, why don't you start?
Sure thing. Thanks, Bree. Russ Sanford. I am with Kleinschmidt Associates. We're a consulting firm do engineering, environmental, regulatory consulting within the water power community. And I'm also an advisory board member of the Hydropower Foundation. So I'm here representing the foundation today in my role there. So welcome, everyone.
Okay, I'm going to call out names if that's okay. Rosanna, do you want to go?
Hi, I'm Rosanna Linares. I'm the director of the MESA program, which stands for Math, Engineering, Science Achievement at Wenatchee Valley College. I work with students that are all STEM, and my students participated in the hydro tank competition in Ephrata this year. I think 6 of those participants were my students.
We're not proud or anything. We were very excited. A lot of them were there. It was really fun. Peter?
Hi, am I coming through okay?
Yep.
You're great.
Audio? Okay, good. So I am the chair of mechanical engineering at Cal Poly State University in San Luis Obispo. We had a team last year that competed in the marine energy collegiate competition. That was very exciting, and even more exciting this year, we're going to have a team in both the MEC and the HCC.
Yay.
So I am interested in finding a way to make this more of a sustainable thing. Right now I'm running it through our senior project class, and I would really love for us to have a club. We have a wind power club. I suggested to them that it could be a wind and water power club, and they said, why don't you just get a water power club? So they didn't want to potentially dilute the funds they get from the university. So I can see that. So I'm curious to hear what you've got pulled together. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Peter. Ben.
Yeah, hi. My name is Ben Booker. I'm one of the co-founders and the president of Net Impact at the University of Cincinnati. We're a chapter of Net Impact, which is an international organization around sustainable development. And we started a chapter in the past 2 years at University of Cincinnati focused on education and career development programming. We're not a hydropower club, but we're interested kind of in the programming that you guys have around it and opportunities to expand hydropower initiatives on our campus. So just excited to learn from you guys and what you guys are working on.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, Ben. Amanda.
Hi, everybody. Amanda Smith, also from the University of Cincinnati. I work at our foundation and I lead our corporate relations at the foundation for the university and work with great students like Ben that you just heard about. So happy to be here.
Thanks for joining. Candace?
Good afternoon. I'm Candace Stinchcomb. I am the coordinator of career services at Alabama State University in Montgomery, Alabama.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. Let's see. There's a phone number I don't recognize, an 816 phone number. And there's also Sydney. I think that's who we have left.
Hey, Bree, it's Marla Barnes from NHA.
Oh, hey, Marla.
That's the 816 number. I had to call in.
No worries. We were just doing an introduction. So this
Great.
is Marla.
Marla Barnes, National Hydropower Association. We work closely with the Hydropower Foundation and with Department of Energy and National Renewable Energy Laboratory. We're excited to have many of you come to Clean Currents, which I'm sure Elise will talk about today. Nice to meet you all.
And Sydney.
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Sydney Cruson. I'm also at the University of Cincinnati. I'm in Net Impact as well. I run our career development programming, so connecting students who are interested in sustainable careers with corporations with sustainability jobs. So happy to be here. Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I think that's everybody for now. Anybody later will catch as they come in. But we bring you all here today to talk about the Waterpower Club, Waterpower Community WC2 is what we want to call it, WC squared. It is a mouthful for me, so I'm sorry Russ came up with that, and I'm still, it's hard for me. I can't say it. But we'll work on it. This is a brand new initiative derived from our many hydropower collegiate competitions and our think tank competitions, where we have produced student programming, and oftentimes they end up being one-off programs located in different areas. As Marla said, we do the student programming alongside Clean Currents. They have a national conference, and that isn't located in Cincinnati this year, and last year it was in Sacramento. The year before that it was in Atlanta. So you see where I'm going. We're moving to different locations, which makes it a little bit difficult to continue that relationship with universities. So we get a lot of good participation in our programs, and we want that to continue. So we thought, what better way to do that than to try to implement an actual water power club within the university to help be that conduit between academia and the hydropower industry. We have a huge need within the industry to hire. There are way too many jobs and not enough people to fill them. And what we're hearing from academia is that you're having trouble finding the jobs. So we've got to figure that out. So we thought with the water power clubs, that maintains a constant communication between a chair. There would need to be a student chair of that club. And then for now, I would be the point of contact with the Hydropower Foundation to help get that club started. We would help connect them with mentors. We would help connect them with jobs, with the Hydropower Collegiate Competition if they're not already connected. The think tank competition, we will do a career fair in February in Seattle. So all of those programs, as they come up, we're going to connect directly with that chair so that the chair can make sure that that's communicated to the students. Hi, Jason, you came on camera. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jason Britton, and I am late, obviously. I'm just coming from another meeting, and it ran over. I'm the director of our partnership development external relationship team here at UC. We sit within the College of Cooperative Education and Professional Studies, but we work basically throughout the campus to help connect external industry partners to university students.
And Bree, I see
Thanks for being here.
Gabe has also joined us. And
yes, I noticed that too. Gabe, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm gonna have to introduce myself.
Yes. Oh wait, you guys said Gabe, right? I didn't mishear.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm with Net Impact, the club who was originally in contact with everybody about the Hydropower Association, and I'm just joining in to listen in between classes. I'm in charge of operations and normally can be found talking with Ben and Sydney, who are also in the call.
Got it.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining. I know I kind of threw you guys into this meeting late.
We also have Branwen, who just joined.
Yeah.
Hi, yes, sorry for joining late here. My name is Branwen Schaub. I'm a math faculty member and MESA faculty advisor at Wenatchee Valley College and the advisor for our STEM club.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining. We'll take you late or, no matter what, no big deal. So jumping back in, so the Water Power Club is intended to create that long-term relationship between the hydropower industry and the university, because obviously students graduate, they would pass the baton on to the next student, and then they would get that history of involvement within the student competitions and programs that the Hydropower Foundation and others contribute to. We also have the conferences throughout the year that we participate in, and students are always more than welcome to attend those. The next one is going to be the Clean Currents Conference in Cincinnati. We're hoping to do an activity over at the University of Cincinnati with students to try to bring some of the industry folks over there to get to know some of the students. So whenever we're in your city, we want to make sure that we're connecting with you in that way, so that you know who we are face to face and we know who you are. So there's more to go. Russ, you go ahead.
Yeah, maybe I could just jump in. So I know Bree sent out lots of information on the concept, the Water Power Club's Water Power Community Partnership, but I wanted to pause and make sure everybody has had a chance to either read it or watch the video, short 6-ish minute video. And if not, do we need to do a quick overview of the concept, or does everybody understand kind of what the concept is? Don't be bashful.
Sorry, I did not do my homework.
Okay.
But if I'm the only one, I will definitely do it later. I can pick up those details.
Peter, I'm glad you were honest in saying that. We'll just pretend that you're not the only one. And if it's a little repetitive, Bree, if you don't mind, I'll just jump right in and kind of explain the concept a little bit. So Bree kind of highlighted, from the high end, and Peter, you had a team at the MEC last year. The concept kind of came out of there. I served as a judge for the collegiate competition, the Hydropower and the Marine Energy Collegiate Competition. And what we noticed was there's tons of excitement, and the folks from Net Impact and UC will probably say this, there's tons of excitement around sustainability, clean energy, and careers that happen to tie in with it. What I was particularly excited about was all of the students that engineers, but the teams that came, they had engineering students, might be civil, mechanical, electrical is typical in any power development, but there was also biologists and political science and marketing people. And so number one idea is creating a diverse club of people that are passionate about renewable energy. We're focused on the water power community. But number two is exactly what Peter said earlier, is sustainable teams. So a lot of the teams that showed up in previous years, it was a capstone project, and then they're trying to recreate a team for the following year and the following year. So some of those teams were telling us, hey, we're trying to recruit some younger students, so we have a team that is perpetual, that's always coming back and competing every year. And it's like, whoa, what a novel idea. And then lots of conversations in the industry, we said, well, most universities have clubs, so why don't we create a club with this concept that's around the water power community? And the reason we call it the water power community is it's not just about hydropower. In our world, there's yes, there's a desire to create more clean renewable energy, hydropower, and it's a great equalizer for solar and wind that you guys all know is variable. Hydropower is a lot more predictable because of river flows or tidal or storage capacity behind it. So that's one of the reasons our industry is growing so quickly today, is because of the growth in solar and wind. There's more need for storage, and it's growing. But we wanted to create teams that were sustainable at universities and diverse. And oh, by the way, there's also things that are happening like dam decommissioning. We're removing dams in order to for dam safety concerns. So that's why it's not just, and there are plenty of ecological engineers and biologists and other scientists, terrestrial scientists, that work in those. So that's why we call it the water power community. It's not just hydropower. There's lots of different aspects of it. But within the clubs, and this is where the industry comes in, what we're really hoping to do is to develop partnerships. So there will be partners from the industry that partner with the Hydro Foundation that go through to your schools. And I'm hoping this is more unique than some of the other clubs, because and our challenge as an industry is we're very spread out throughout the country. Okay, so for example, if you're in the Southeast, Alabama Power, they have a lot of hydro, and Georgia Power, they have a lot of hydro, and Duke Energy, they have a lot of hydro, but they're a bunch of individuals. So we're not like national companies like some of the big industries. We're a bunch of spread out. So what we're doing as the foundation is pulling those together on a regional basis. So whether you're in California, the Southeast, Northwest, Northeast, wherever it might be, we're going to pull in industry partners as sponsors, we'll call it, but we'll coordinate them on a regional basis to work with the universities that are in colleges and universities that are in that region to be able to feed into them with what we've talked about. And Peter, you can get the information later, but the highlights of what we're hoping to do with the clubs, and most clubs, they have information gatherings. They have gatherings 2, 3, 4, or 5 times a semester. We want to be able to supply industry presenters that would come in and speak about what's happening in the industry. And it's going to depend a lot on your specific university and the students and what they're interested in and who the partners are that are available. But they come in 2 to 3 times a semester to speak. And oh, by the way, when they're coming in and you're having club meetings, we want to provide some funds to be able to have pizza and soda or whatever other snacks your particular geography is interested in. So there's some funding coming in. Oh, by the way, we want to provide scholarships to members of the water power clubs. So we're anticipating 2 scholarships per year, per calendar year, not semester, that would go to students that have to be, committed members of the Water Power Club. Those are, I'm going to say, initial year pieces, 2023-24 academic year. And one of the biggest things is we're going to create on the Hydro Foundation website, a hiring for hydro, we're going to call it a career portal, that will provide a showcase of where there's internship, co-op opportunities, and entry-level career opportunities. So we're hoping that that's the piece that we can really connect, where people in the industry in that region are connecting with you and being able to have the relationship, provide some mentoring, and be able to provide the conduit for the career opportunities. So that again is what we're saying the initial year. We have bigger aspirations for 2024-25 academic year, which would include, then we start coordinating hydropower or marine energy, depending on where you're at, tours of facilities. So you can get the students, and let's pretend, and I'm in the Southeast, so I'll just pick on, because that's where I'm at. I happen to live in Florida, but if you picked on, I forgot, Candace, you're from Alabama, right? If Alabama and Auburn and Georgia Tech and University of North Florida and a few others, we could get a facility tour, that was easy for all of them to get to, and have it hosted by whether Alabama Power or Georgia Power or something like that. And we're hoping to be able to provide the funding for that, right? So the students don't have to come out of pocket. We can provide the resources for the transportation and food to get there. And then, as some students have participated in, we have these things called the Hydro Think Tank. And the picture that's behind us came from a hydro think tank that we just did a few months ago with Alabama Power. And we had students from Auburn and Georgia Tech and Tuskegee University and several others. Bree just did one out in the Northwest. But this particular, what a hydro think tank is it's a 3-day mini challenge. So one of the things that I learned from faculty advisors when we were doing the research for this is one of the challenges of students exiting college is their ability to think. So what we've created, what Bree's created long ago, was these think tanks where we bring students together in a competition and we give them a challenge. And the challenge we happen to give them at this one was we have a hydropower facility, and it's called Run a River. So the water flows through it and it spins turbines and it makes electricity. But during the peak of the day in the south, when it's really hot, it's not able to produce enough electricity for the demands of the area. So what if we added a 20 megawatt solar plant? Actually, no, it's what if we added a solar plant adjacent to the hydro facility, and how much electricity could you generate and how big of a space would you need? So we made them think and come up with the solution to this challenge. And oh, by the way, they get prize money for doing this. So those are the things from the big picture that we're going to get the partners aligned, the industry partners aligned in the regions to be able to work with the universities in the region, so we can create a better conduit between your club and our industry. So that's the plan. I'm going to pause, say questions around that. Who has questions of how this actually works or gets started?
I don't have questions, but I just wanted to say this sounds fantastic.
Yay. Thanks,
Awesome.
Peter.
We'll take it.
This is Candace. What exactly, I heard you say earlier about what type of engineering and biology. What other type of students are welcomed in like the water club, or, what are they actually looking for?
So we're going to say anybody that's interested in the water power community, because at the hydropower and marine energy collegiate competition, those competitions, there were marketing majors, there were business majors, because those people are putting together case study projects and they need to build a presentation around it and the business case for it and lots of other things. So it was really, I'll say, eye-opening to me and my role. So I'm an engineer by education. I serve in more of what you would consider a chief marketing officer role for my firm, though. So my team is marketing people, and so that's why it's if someone is interested in water power and marketing, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions? And do you, Candace, do you work with Kenneth?
Not personally, not like that. I just kind of help run the Office of Career Services on campus.
Okay.
So, our job is to help find internships and career jobs. And what I try to do is make sure that the students enjoy what they're doing instead of just finding a job.
Grand idea. They might stick with it then.
Exactly.
Other questions?
Yeah, in the plan of the scholarship that you say, like a 2 a year, we are talking about per club, like the water community thing. Is how is that idea just, and it's going to be that kind of competition? I know that I might be thinking ahead. It's just to have a kind of rush idea.
How would the competitions work?
No, for the scholarship that you mentioned, you said like you're trying to maybe consider 2 per year, but I wonder if that is something that you are thinking for every club, or is going to be national and it's just 2. How is that kind of idea?
The scholarship.
This,
No, that's
the
going to be
scholarships.
that's going to be 2 per college or university. That is our goal. We're I'll say today hoping, but anticipating, similar to Peter's reaction. We've not had anybody that has negative reactions around this concept. Same thing with the industry partners. So we're anticipating lots of industry involvement, but we're also seeking grant funding, because there's a lot of grants for workforce development programs that are really trying to do what we're doing of connecting the industry with colleges and universities. So that's why we're very hopeful. And I will also say, business planning, next year we'll have a lot more information and we'll have a lot better understanding of the budget. So that's why we're starting kind of smaller this year and trying to do the pieces that we know we can fund while it's growing up.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. So what kind of programming and what would you expect these the university clubs associated with the Hydropower Association to be doing when they're not doing events directly linked to the Hydropower Association?
Can you one more time on that? What would we expect them to be doing beyond?
So yeah, aside from the events specifically associated with the Hydropower Association,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of characteristics would you want from that club that would be, I guess, unique, and what would you want them to be doing on their own?
Boy, it's been a long time since I've been in a club, so I don't have an answer to that one. I'm not sure, and I think every club's going to be a little bit different of what they're doing outside of it. So for example, if you're the Net Impact Club and you're a sustainability organization, if you organize things like going out and cleaning up waterways or something along those lines. And one second, I got a noise outside my door, or you were let's see, being in UC, yeah, you could be cleaning up along the Ohio River, you could be doing all kind or the tributaries that are coming out of it. There to me, it's anything that would be related to the biggest piece of the water power community is really around sustainability, clean energy, climate change. All of the above would be considered things that would be related to, I would say, the water power community. Bree, would you say yes or no or anything more to that?
No, I would agree. And I think that the beauty of this, and we've been talking about this in our internal meetings, is this is what you want to make of it. So the chair of the committee would be at liberty to come up with some unique creative ideas on activities or things that you might want to do outside of what the foundation would present as opportunities.
It's all about the leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, for any that are in engineering programs, I talked to 3 faculty advisors that were in civil engineering programs, and their comments were what they liked about this concept was most civil engineering programs talk about roads and bridges, and there's concrete canoe contests and ASCE. And so ASCE, being a civil engineer by education myself, is very specific to civil engineers. So this concept helps those civil engineers branch out into water infrastructure, which is a lot more complex and challenging, and incorporates a bunch of other disciplines beyond just what some of the other clubs do. So, Gabe, I hope that was helpful.
Well, and to
Yes,
just add on one more thing.
Helpful.
Sorry, just to add one more thing, Gabe, or others. I think, based on what I said earlier in terms of the student that chairs the committee could come up with ideas of what you want to do outside of the foundation's involvement. However, if there are more things that you would like the foundation to connect you with, that would be welcomed as well. So that truly is the point. So if you're talking with your group of students within the club and you come up with an idea and you say, oh, would the foundation know anybody that, would offer a tour tomorrow, at this location, within the area, just because we want that to be maybe later on doesn't mean that we have to. We're flexible.
Yeah.
So I know people at places, we know people at Alabama Power, we know people at TVA, you know, so our goal is to connect you in that way. So if there's some way that you would like to be connected that's not in the list that we've already thrown out, definitely communicate that with us.
I would add on to that another piece, and this is pulling from the collegiate competitions again, but one of their requirements in the collegiate competition is to have an outreach, an educational outreach. And so what a lot of those teams did was go to a high school or a middle school where they were going into a classroom and teaching about water power or doing some demonstrations or doing something with a level of school down from them. And similar to the wanting to create sustainable clubs, they were talking about how they wanted to create ongoing relationships with schools in their area so that they could have students that are going back every year, and it's more of a partnership and not just a one-off that they were doing because of that year. So that's another idea of something that students could be doing to help give back, to help, you know, train about sustainability in the water power community.
So I have a quick question about logistics with this. It sounds like you don't necessarily need a new club formed at a university that's called the WC2 Club. You're happy to interact with clubs that maybe are already aligned. Is that true?
So we're trying to figure that out ourselves.
Okay.
Because we're brand new, but we would like some way that we have it branded with WC2,
Okay.
so that our industry partners know what they're partnering with, right? But for example, so we've been having conversations with UC, the Net Impact Club, and that's the sustainability club, and it's like, oh, this feels like a really good fit. Texas Tech University has the same similar situation. They have a renewable energy club already, and could we co-brand them was the question. And so I would say a co-branding, yes, especially as we're getting started, makes sense. But all of our branding will be coming through the WC2. And it's easier for engineers to spit that out than communication majors, Bree.
Clearly, thank you. I knew that was coming. The other point I was going to make is, like, Rosanna and I have talked about Wenatchee Valley College, because they actually have a STEM club as the umbrella over a bunch of other clubs. So WC2 would be included as a sub club underneath the STEM umbrella.
Yeah,
So
I can
the
speak to
branding
that.
should be there. Yeah.
Yeah, so since I'm the STEM faculty advisor, STEM club faculty advisor here at the college, what we're doing is we have such a small student population that to have all these separate clubs where each one needs a different advisor and each one needs a different officer team, and we have so much rollover with students since we're only a 2-year college. It is the STEM club, and then we have like leaders or ambassadors for different areas that are part of the officer team. So we will be, if this all goes forward, we'd have a WC2 ambassador, and their role within STEM Club would be to manage the projects and communication and all of that for WC2.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So a second question on logistics. In my case, I think I'm going to be reaching out to students. We're still not in classes yet. We're on the quarter system, so I got another couple of weeks. But I'm going to set up a kickoff meeting for anyone interested, and then see if I can get some students who are willing to step up as the inaugural leaders or chair, as you mentioned here. Once I've identified that for our campus, would I reach out to Bree to kind of formalize? Is that the next step?
Yeah, so
that is the next step.
Right. Yes, that would, and we understand every college and university has a different process for creating their own club. Bree will have on our website in the not too distant future a quote unquote registration, of who are the contacts and how to go about the process. We're also planning to put together, I'm going to call it a brief document that gives you the background information for example, if your university has a form that you have to fill out and submit for creating a club, then you need some details. So we're going to be preparing that, and we'll be able to get that out to everybody of, what is the Hydropower Foundation and how does this tie into blah, 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 blah. So I've borrowed a few other examples from the internet, and we'll be putting that together. But if you have any other questions around it or need any other information, obviously Bree we can get you that.
I would be curious to know from you, Peter, like what is your, or others, what is your process for setting up the club? Do you have, an application you fill out with your school, or because it seems like every university is a little bit different. So I'd be curious what hoops you have to jump through in order to make this possible.
And or what would be more beneficial that we provide you?
Exactly. Like, what do you need? Help us
So
help you.
I'll answer for Cal Poly. There are basically two entirely different types of clubs on campus. And one of them, it takes a while to get started. So that's going to come later. The simple one, a student club can be formed by 2 or more students with a common interest, and it's a pretty simple process. I think having a link to an external organization would certainly be an asset for them, but it's definitely not required for just a simple student club. So these could be like Shakespeare Club, or the I want to watch this movie once a week, a movie club. It doesn't have to be anything real specific. And that's the format that I'll approach initially, because that's a quick and easy thing we can do in the fall. The other one is what we call instructionally related activities. So these are clubs that actually get some funding from the university, particularly when they're going to be building things. And because I view this club as being closely tied to what I hope will be ongoing entries to HCC and MECC, so that one is more lengthy. We can't apply until February, and we don't get approved until June. Again, an external link is not necessary there, but I think it would definitely be an asset to getting that approval, which is a little bit more, it's not guaranteed in that second case, because again, there's funding that comes with it. So
when
anything that you put together sort of describing your intended relationship would, I think, be helpful for us.
So when you say external link, we have a WC Squared website. Is that what you're kind of referring to? Like
Just
having a place for those
in
students
general.
to
Just the
go?
fact that there
Or just the
exists
foundation?
an umbrella organization that the club would be associated with. Yeah, so
Okay.
pointing to the website
Gotcha.
largely would be what we'd need, I think.
Okay.
But if you have like a paragraph that summarizes, and that's probably on the website, that summarizes these are the goals, then we'd probably copy and paste that into our application.
Okay, thank you.
So another question for faculty advisors that know this one. I've heard there's differences as it relates to us providing money, again, for funding for the either club meetings or scholarships. And we're going to have to go through a specific department or something within the university so that it gets dispersed properly. Is there, can anybody speak to that?
Well, I guess I'll speak real quick again at Cal Poly. Depending on which type of club it is, there would be an organization, an umbrella organization that the funds would come to, and they would be considered a donation. You could also do like direct support, where you mentioned so if you're providing funds so students can buy pizza, then great, that fund comes to the students. But if it's transportation or something like that, and you would directly rent a bus for students or something along those lines, that wouldn't have to go through the university at all. So it kind of depends on the specific support, but I suspect for most of our universities, it would have to be talking to the club and the advisor in particular, what is the right organization to receive those funds and how are they interpreted? And I think for most of us, as long as there's not a specific deliverable that's being requested from the funds, they would be considered donations, which means that the club's free to use them as they see fit. Otherwise, the university will take a larger cut of the funds if they're considered a grant where we have a specific outcome associated with it. So we generally try to avoid those if we can to get most of the funds to the students directly.
Yep.
I can speak for the University of Cincinnati. If you're setting up a scholarship specifically, we would want it to come through the foundation. We could even create a named scholarship fund for you. So I'm suspecting if it's a philanthropic donation, most of the time you would have to go through the foundation at the universities.
Okay. Good to know. And
So,
I'm not sure it pertains to you guys as much. We are a 501c. Hydro Foundation is a 501c3 entity. So that's how we can receive grants and other funding that will help provide the funding back to the universities.
So Amanda, I'm curious if your situation is any different than Peter's in terms of like the funding for the student activities, any of those types of activities that they do, if they need pizza or things of that nature, or a tour. He brought up the transportation thing, so it kind of made me think, well, how, maybe that's just something that the foundation organizes and then pays for directly. That logistically might be the best way.
That's a great question. I work directly with Net Impact to create a package for corporate partnerships. And there are different levels, different benefits. And so the money does go to the students, but it is considered a philanthropic donation. And specifically with corporate partners, they're interested in that philanthropic donation status. And we, through the 501c3 of the foundation, we're able to process that money, and then we essentially do an inter-college transfer to the student club. So the money does go to the club. But I would suggest, I think, when you were talking about all the different benefits, I would suggest thinking about, and I can help you brainstorm this if it's helpful, what would a partnership look like? I mean, I think that you mentioned several different elements. You mentioned scholarships, you mentioned funding for the student club. I'm just wondering what a package would look like if you sort of said, we're interested in giving, a $5 contribution. I guess I'm just wondering, would you want to put together one package so that you weren't being nickel and dimed, or that you didn't have a bunch of different distributions of funds to all of your different partners, versus just saying this is what our philanthropic contribution will be for the year, and working with each of the clubs to that they could guarantee the deliverables that you would like.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, I think it's going to depend. Every club is going to be different, obviously, and I'm thinking specifically based on size. So if it's co-branded with a Net Impact Club at UC, that might be a lot different than Peter, who's trying to create a brand new club with a couple students to start up. But we were thinking in our head of, $300 a semester for the club meetings, the foods and beverages and everything else, or $600 for the year. So that type of thing is what you're referring to, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and the clubs may have, partnership levels already in place, like Net Impact does.
Okay.
And we're happy to share, what we've put together for corporate partnerships, because there is a benefit to, clearly, as you stated in the beginning, of accessing students and student talent, and having that partnership. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I do
And
think
then
it
again, the
makes it,
scholarship
it
piece.
simplifies it a little bit if you have it in designated packages, and then the school, when you sign up, you can say, this is the package that we're most interested in. Then it kind of keeps it a little bit neater.
And the schools may have packages of their own, you know, if it's a, you know, net
Right.
impact is a pretty big deal at UC. And so they have thought about, you know, what does it look like for a partnership for external, and, you know, understanding their value of access to students. And, but they're also interested in the tours and the things that you had described. And of course, the scholarships for students are always interested in that. So just putting it out there that it might be an easier way to operate.
Thanks for that.
And help you
Yes.
manage your budget as well. And, you know, think about expansion, like how many clubs can you expand to, and things like that. So
I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
This is Candace over at Alabama State. My experience with another organization that I'm a part of, they did an MOU with the school based. The school would get $25,000 a year, and in the MOU, it specifically says how that money is supposed to be spent. So it also allows me to buy food and beverages, snacks for the for meetings for the group. We have to attend a yearly conference, and you know that money is now spent, you know, for transportation purposes and things of that nature. And it like I said, it specifically spells out what that money goes toward. And this year they added in a stipend for the liaisons, because it has turned out to be like a part-time job in doing that. But that MOU, we do have a foundation that we keep the money in, and whenever I need money to go buy pizzas and stuff, I just pull from that. But the school then therefore knows that money is geared toward this group, and that's where it's going to go.
That's very helpful. Thank you, Candace.
and the terminology may be different for each university. You know, our foundation, we have MOUs with on the university level, but our foundation has something called a gift agreement, which basically defines the gift and the use of the funds.
Yeah, I would say we
There's more.
have a, it sounds like there are a lot of different options here, depending on the degree of direct link you want with particular schools. You know, if you want to have a more tighter network and have really close collaborations with specific schools, then I think having this MOU approach gives you that capability very effectively. We have a similar setup to what was described for our heating, refrigeration, and air conditioning industry. They sponsor a club. They actually sponsor a lab on campus. There's a whole lot of collaboration there on a long-term basis. Initially, I suspect it's more of a club activity, which would probably be a lower level, more of the shotgun approach, see who's interested. But perhaps in the future, this grows into something where you have more specific partner schools that you're working with.
Very helpful.
Yeah, that'd be correct. We've had some faculty have also asked about them getting opportunities, they'll say in the summer, of working with consulting firms or contractors or others. And the flip side is we've had some ask us about feeding into curriculum. So those are future great thoughts, but not quite ready for that. I gotta get some water. I'll be right back.
Well, we have about 10 minutes left. Are there any other questions? This is great. I really appreciate all the feedback. As with anything new, we need to know what we don't know, right? Like,
there's a lot we don't know, but we thank you.
There's a lot we don't know.
helping us get this rolling.
Yeah. So who's in? Who's going to sign up? Who's making a club?
Tech is definitely interested once we figure out the sub club stuff. So
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm working on it, Bree. Okay, we are working on it.
Awesome.
I really think there's going to be some interest, but I want to make sure that there is sufficient student interest.
Sure.
Good call. Good deal. So what are the next steps, Bree? We're going to be getting the registration piece out and the document that has some of the hopefully information you need for submitting your application. Excuse me, I'm going to say that's probably in the next week. We'll be able to have that ready and sent out somewhere in that time frame. Does that sound right?
That's the goal. Yeah.
It's moving rather rapidly.
Yeah.
We're just really proud that we have backgrounds with a logo
We
on
have
it.
backgrounds. We have a website. We have people on this call that are interested that want to know more. This is all very exciting. So we appreciate that. That really shows that this has value in it. Sorry, that's dog barking.
And the dog agrees.
So we appreciate that. The dog agrees. So I will get to work on the next steps in terms of getting you all started. Peter will regroup when school's back in session. And certainly don't be afraid to reach out in the meantime. If you guys talk to other, faculty at your schools and whatnot, come up with questions, shoot them over to me or Russ, and we'll try to answer them the best we can with the information we currently have.
There you go. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone.
Bree, do you want to hold on a second?
Yeah, let me stop recording.
Good call.